Rebecca Haro has an astrological aspect that is something that people who have this really should have extra attention in terms of their self esteem, self worth, and repressed anger, even. Though we don't have a time or birthplace for her, I have cast her birth chart, and this will be pretty close, except for, of course, we don't have a rising sign, and her moon could either be in Pisces or Aquarius. But the aspect that I'm talking about here is this Sun square Mars and Saturn. Mars and Saturn are in Scorpio, and she has Sun in Aquarius. And if you see closely, she has something that's called besiegement. So her Sun is enclosed between Mars and Saturn. Mars and Saturn are the lesser malefic and the greater malefic. So there's a lot of pressure on this sun. There is already a lot of weakness in the sun because the sun in Aquarius is considered to be in detriment because it's not in its home of Leo, which opposes Aquarius. So already you can just take these aspects by themselves before you look at what it means to be enclosed between two malefics with your solar purpose, which is your will, your consciousness, and your being's purpose for being here on Earth. So here are key words for Mars, Saturn, and the Sun. So you can see that the Sun is where you get your confidence. It's your expressiveness, your strength, your vitality, and like I said before, it's your will, consciousness, your purpose for being. And Mars has to do with aggression, fight, your desires. It can represent impatience, your desire for action, to take charge, assertiveness. It can also be divisive. And Saturn often represents, it's like a heaviness, a responsibility. There are restrictions. It can represent fear. It also can show where you're insecure. It also represents authorities in your life, people who you think are higher than you. So when you have a planet that's square these two planets, it brings up a friction between who you are at your core being and what these other planets represent. And the other thing about squares is that often it's things that come up out of your control that can trigger the conflict between your solar self and whatever's on the other end. So for her, something can happen, and then there's a conflict between who she truly wants to be and some authority figure, or there's a conflict between who she wants to be and what she wants to do. And being in Scorpio, there can be, because Scorpio is fixed water, so there's emotion, but there's also a frigidity or a waiting. And a lot of times there is some sort of something strategic, and there is this transition, and usually there's a lot of kind of turmoil with Scorpio. So in essence, she can feel at odds with authorities, or there's something that she wants to do, because this square between Mars and the Sun can also give you a lot of energy. But what happens is her Mars at 11 degrees is heading towards her Saturn at 16 degrees. And what she can often feel in life, probably from a young age, is that she's inspired to do something, and then she feels stopped by it, or her insecurities stop her, or some authority figure stops her, or some overwhelming responsibility stops her. And then she feels, sort of some sense of or lack of self-worth. And then what also can happen with Mars conjunct Saturn is yes, you can find people who have a lot of endurance. They can work very hard, but there can also be, and especially for people who don't have a sense of how to deal with conflict and how to deal with the frustration, especially the frustration that a square can bring into your life, there can be this internal pressure of anger and rage, especially when something comes up out of the blue that you feel you can't do something about. The other thing that someone with this aspect could have is this sense that the person, a person that they perceive who is in more authority than them or who is better than them has is more correct than they are. Now there is some mitigation of what I'm talking about here because Saturn does have mutual reception, or it just does have reception with the sun. It's not mutual reception. So in some ways, since Saturn rules the sun, there can be a bit better communication, which may be actually how she's been able to go through life better than what's going on now. And if anyone doesn't know, she's someone who has been charged with murdering her child along with her husband. But I can we can see when you see something like this, it's not really that surprising when something like this happens. And that is not to say that everyone who has something like this will end up in a situation that's this bad, but it can show you that if you do know, have some idea early in life, what kind of internal pressures are set up for a person, that you can help to maybe help the person deal with them, and so that they don't end up at 41 years old in this type of situation. So I do give private readings. So if you're interested in taking a look at your chart, be sure to contact me and we can take a look.